Hello everyone, this is Sam Batten for SEO Video Insights, and today I'm going to be doing an SEO review of the website called Neighborly.com. Neighborly.com, what they do is that they own 30 different brands. They own brands like Molly Maid, Mr. Handyman, and they own the websites for each of these, like groundsguys.com, dryerventcleaners.com, 5 Star Painting. And what this website, Neighborly.com, does, it's an entity authority. So basically, this entity, Neighborly.com, this has a very powerful set of backlinks that improve its visibility in search engines, and it can deliver leads to these websites here. Like from Neighborly.com, you can book, book Molly Maid, you can book Mr. Handyman, and so then when you book from this website, the franchise owners of these individual brands, they will actually get your bid for whatever service you need. And anyway, so that's how this website makes money. So what I was going to do was take a look at how this website is set up and see what they're doing right from an SEO perspective and things that they could change to improve their visibility. So one of the first places I like to start is by doing a site : search. You see there, it says site : neighborly.com. Now up here you see I'm using an incognito Google window. Now the reason I'm doing this is because Google notes what my personal web searches are. And so whenever I do a search on Google, Google will change the results depending upon what they think I personally, Sam Batten, would like to see. So an incognito window, it doesn't have any web history. So this is a better reflection of, in general, what people are seeing when, what the public is seeing when they look for a Neighborly.com page versus what I see. Now, for example, let's see, this. So, okay, so this is my personal Google window. So when I did a site Neighborly.com, here the first result is local plumbers and drain cleaning experts near you, because, I was looking around for plumbers recently. So Google thinks that, well, he's doing a site search for Neighborly.com. Probably he wants to see information about plumbers. So this was the first result in the personal thing, in my personal browser. However, when I search in an incognito browser, the very first web page is www.neighborly.com. So that is the site homepage. So anyway, just wanted to point that out, that if you're going to do this yourself, just keep that in mind, that Google will modify the Google results if you're using your own personal browser. So I did site Neighborly.com. So this is a sort of broad search for all of the domains that Neighborly.com owns. So see here, the first result is www.neighborly.com, but second result is franchise.neighborly.com. More wwws. Here, all right, utm.neighborly.com. Now, this is something, I'd wonder about, because why does Google think that this is, I guess like it's below the fold, but, it's appearing above, Shelf Genie. And it's a QR code generator. And destination URL. So, right, what I think is that this is probably for franchisees. Or, I guess like, they create tags to put on a website or something. So I guess like as an SEO person, I'd wonder, why is this page, getting indexed? This is something that I'd want to talk with Neighborly.com about, because it might be that, this page doesn't need to appear in Google search. So the thing is, because, this is, something to think about. is that when Google crawls a website, they basically got a limited crawl budget. They don't crawl every single page on your website every single day. They'll come to your website maybe about once every couple of weeks. They'll crawl some of the pages on your website and then they'll leave. They'll index that stuff and then a couple of weeks later they'll come back and check, hey, what's new? So to get, to make sure that you're presenting your best face to Google, you want to make sure that Google is spending its crawl budget on pages that are meaningful. So anyway, so that's why I'd wonder about QR code generator. Like, does Neighborly really need Google to see that? Another thing I do is I crawl the site with a tool called Screaming Frog. Now, what this does, I tell it to visit, start at neighborly.com, the homepage, and then it will actually go through and it will crawl every single page that it finds, through the website links. And so we see here that, right, there were, no, that's right. So I think, there was something like 1,500, 1,639 URLs were encountered during the crawl. Now, of those, 984 of those URLs were HTML pages. 49 were images, 23 were other, which could include different file types, or where Google doesn't really know, where Screaming Frog doesn't really know what it is. I'll filter it as other. So this is a way to learn about issues that may be affecting the site. Like, for example, I crawled the site a couple weeks ago, and one of the things that it found, actually, I found this when I confirmed this when I was looking at the site. See, they're using content lorem ipsum placeholder. So what that means is that they had, whoever built this site put sort of lorem ipsum text as, in place of the actual text that would eventually contain original content on the page. It's kind of weird, but that's what they found. 967 pages contained this lorem ipsum text. I thought that was really odd, and I was talking about it with an SEO guy who was in charge of this account. He was like, lorem ipsum text? Huh? He was really surprised by it. So, okay. So I think that they have actually fixed this issue in the intervening time, because, let's see. See, now I did site neighborly.com lorem ipsum, and we see that there are a number of results here. And if you look at the descriptive snippet on the page, it actually says, lorem ipsum. This is how to get your house ready to sell and keep your sanity. Now, a couple weeks ago, probably, this page did contain this lorem ipsum text. But let's click through and see if they fixed it. So here we are. Actually, a note up here, this is /CA. So this is their Canadian site. They've got neighborly.com, which for Americans, and they've got neighborly.com/CA for Canadians. Probably the number is different, and they use Canadian dollars instead of US dollars. But anyway, so let's right click here and then view page source. So this is the source of the web code. This is the HTML code that generates this page we're looking at. So now we're going to search in here for the word LOREM. Okay, so that's a 0 out of 0. So, and this is interesting to know about the way search engines work. So even though a couple weeks ago, they had lorem ipsum on the page, and since then, this is April 16th. I think I did this crawl back in March. Even though they fixed it, even though the text lorem ipsum no longer appears on the page, even though today, April 16th, Google doesn't know that yet. See, there's a delay between when you change information on the page, when it gets, then it takes Google, a couple days to actually visit your site and then crawl it, and then another couple of days to actually update the index. So again, this is why I think crawl budget is such an important thing, because if Google wasn't spending time crawling the utm.neighborly.com, maybe they would have found that fix sooner. Maybe they would have changed that. So anyway, that's one thing there that I found. Something else though was that, like I mentioned, they've got /CA for Canadians, or for their Canadian pages. Oops. And so the /CA, all right, yeah, see in the lower left here, see like all the links here now are pointing to their /CA page. And look, they're spelling Neighborly with a U. That's how Canadians spell it. So one of the things that I'd wonder about is that, let's view the page source here. See, now, you may not realize it, but even though Canadians speak English like us Americans do, from Google's perspective, it's Canadian English. It's not American English. And so there's a difference. So if someone is searching for neighborly.com, with a U, then Google would want to, make sure that they're seeing the site neighborly.com instead of neighborly without a U. Oops. So what I'm going to look for, okay. Yeah, see, there's something called hreflang, and that is a way to establish what language a web page is in, especially if you have different versions of it. Like, for example, we've got neighborly.com /ca.sitemap. But if we take out the CA, then we go to the American version. And you see that I think the number is different too. But yeah, see, it's no longer spelled neighborly with a U, But the thing is that Google wants to make absolutely certain that, if someone is Canada and searching for neighborly.com, that they're seeing, the neighborly.com CA version. Now, hreflang, that's a way to establish that. With hreflang, you can tell Google explicitly, this page is for Canadians, and the English and the American language version of this page is located here. Now, they don't appear to do that. What I think they're doing is neighborly.com is detecting where the person's browser is that's making the request, and then deciding, well, I'll serve the Canadian version if they're located in Canada, and I'll serve the American version if they're located in the US. And so we see here that there's a CA contact us in the results. Now, I don't know why there's a Canadian result. I'm in America when I'm doing these searches, so I don't know why there's a Canadian result in here. And so that's something that would make me wonder, is their current way of limiting American pages to American searchers and Canadian pages to Canadian searchers, is that working 100% correctly? Because if it was, then we wouldn't be seeing this, I don't think. Now, if they had hreflang, that would, I believe that would actually, solve the problem. And that wouldn't really be too hard to implement either. So anyway, so that's a concern for an international site. like Neighborly.com. So anyway, that was sort of a brief introduction of the kinds of things that I look at when I'm looking at a site's SEO, and also I'm explaining as I go along. So if you'd like me to do this for your website, just visit the link in the comments and tell me more about what information you'd like to see, and I'll go do it for you. Anyway, I hope you found this interesting. Thanks very much for watching, and have a good day.